I think we have had now 5 presentations, which basically provide us with a nice collection of different aspects that need to be taken into consideration when thinking about how we can improve the tempo, if you wish, of implementing energy efficiency measures. We have roughly an hour ahead of us for questions and answers and also comments. So please don't be shy. Go ahead. We'll still have experts at hand. I have several questions already prepared by myself, but I would like to ask first and foremost whether experts among themselves have something to comment and to reflect on what others have said. I don't know. This is, I'm improvising now. This is a workshop. We are now brainstorming. This is not a conference. So you're welcome to interact between each other. And if I see comments popping up either in the chat or a hand raised, so I'll react to that. Anyone? I can go ahead then with a few introductory attempts to kick off the. I see Andrzej. I'll let you speak in a second. Okay. So some things that I noticed already, which definitely deserve much more attention than so far, is trying to accelerate the availability of information. That is the digitalization aspect of all of these processes, not only of the energy efficiency implementation process, but also of the current state of affairs. So this is one major problem indeed, because there is no universal system of collecting energy performance data of buildings currently available, and it is a huge problem for not only for potential financing institutions or financiers of projects, but also for the homeowners themselves. The only way, in most of the cases, the only way how to understand how much investment is required and what can the gains be from investment in energy efficiency is to look at the figures in your monthly payment bill for energy and try to use Excel for calculations. Or you can also hire, of course, the energy auditor who will do this for you, and it is actually absolutely necessary, prerequisite for any energy efficiency investment project. So this has to be done, but it would make it much easier, and the process would be swifter if we would have digitalized data, which is available online for everybody. It would also open up avenues for comparing the energy performance between different sort of buildings or similar buildings in different towns, vicinities, areas, and would allow to compare also those buildings which have already carried out renovation and those which have not, and especially this could especially help convince investing in energy efficiency measures those inhabitants of those multi-apartment buildings which are so-called typical or standard projects. We used to have this sort of approach in the Soviet times where they were so-called project number 255 or 619, etc., etc. I'm improvising now. So this would also help understand what can actually be gained just from looking at the example of a similar house being renovated. Okay, that's probably my initial reaction. Andrzej, go ahead.
Yes, well, I would like to reply on the information about the length of the process of modernization that ISA thought is 3 up to 4 years, and in Poland this is currently up to 1 year. Well, this is not surprising for me. At the beginning of the functioning of the scheme in Poland, the period of the development and implementation of the projects was also very long. Now it's up to 1 year. There are many examples that even during 9 months, I'm calling pregnancy period, it's possible to to take decision by the homeowner association, obtain the loan from the bank and subsidy and implement the measures. Condition is that the process should start late autumn or very beginning of the year. Why is it short now? Because this financing scheme that we introduced in Poland is so attractive, and the money dedicated by the government for this scheme at the very beginning was not used fully. And this was only an instrument to support the homeowners associations to do renovation of buildings with the energy effect. So each of the parties involved in the process started to look how to speed up own procedures. And secondly, there were two kinds of intermediaries between the financing sources and the beneficiary. The first one, these are energy auditors. The energy audit is mandatory document necessary for preparation of the initial decision of the bank in parallel to assessment of creditworthiness of the client. And the second group are facility managers, buildings managers. And we, as energy auditors, started to, let's say, educate facility managers, buildings managers, how to prepare from technical point of view the process. It means how to order the energy audit. And they looked how to speed up the decision-making process on the side of the homeowner association. And in Warsaw, I remember this time before 24 years, I took part in over 100 meetings of homeowners associations in the city of Warsaw, and educated both the administrators and the members of the boards of homeowner associations about the profits coming from the thermal renovation of buildings. After a few projects which have been implemented as a good practice, we have done an awareness campaign in cooperation with the municipality, and the process started to be more, let's say, efficient and faster. So everybody needs to look in own procedures how to speed up decision-making process. And it is not a problem to find now the executor of works. It means the construction company. There are many specialized companies in thermal insulation or the installation of internal heating systems, etc. Thank you.
Thank you. A very valuable comment. In fact, may I just quickly reflect on what you just said, Andrzej? You said it was long at the beginning. Now it's very short. Would you say that? Would you say that the scale of a project would matter when it comes to the length of implementation of a project? Is there any trend between for smaller and bigger projects? Does one take more time or not?
No, this is the question how we sell this to the members of the homeowners association. We need to sell this on such a way that, okay, they need to increase a little bit their contribution to the renovation fund of the building, which is collected from members of the association each month, but they will save money in the second pocket, which is used to cover the energy bills, the heat bills. And if you are able to show it on transparent way and convince people with such calculation, the scale of the project has no impact on decision making. It can be applied for small projects and for projects. The homeowner association is the same person in small building and the big building.
Okay,
clever person which needs to be convinced with the economic result.
Okay, great. Ilse, you have your hand raised.
I would like to ask Andrzej also about experience on how do you select the building companies and what is your experience with working with building companies? Thank you.
Yes, at the very beginning, it was not easy to find companies specialized in doing the thermal insulation, especially. But there was a very active, or started to be very active, the sector of suppliers of goods and services, companies which are providing the insulation materials. So they started to cooperate with energy auditors and with buildings managers, showing their products and doing additional training for construction companies which have not been experienced in such things. And slowly, this kind of renovation work started to be a standardized one. So we know that there is a necessary small group of well-skilled workers on the construction side. There is very good support from suppliers of these goods with knowledge and also with materials, with assistance, etc., even on the site work. So it was good input from the private sector on the transparent way, because the homeowner association if it decides to use the grant, it is not mandatory for them to do the public procurement, but they need to select the company based on the competitive way. So looking for the best relation between the price and quality. And this system is self-managing, because if the homeowner association is taking the loan first, is looking to get the offers as low as it's possible, because the loan should be paid and the interest should be repaid. And the grant is calculated to the total investment cost, yes. And so this is it developed simply over time.
I have Ilse, you wanted to add something?
I wanted to also ask, how about this prefabricated building materials? Do you use in Poland those, and do you have enough, let's say, for renovation? If you have this prefabricated materials introduced, and how it is helping this in renovation process and timing?
Well, you are talking about prefabricated schemes for insulation of walls.
Yes, like for paneling renovation panels. I mean, prefabricated renovation panels. As far as we have looked, this is I think in Netherlands and also UK, in different countries, these prefabricated panels are used in the renovation process.
No, it is not developed in Poland. We are using the standard methods of putting the plates of mineral wool or styrofoam on the existing wall. Of course, if there is a panel building, there is also check of technical standard of these panels which are in buildings, and if it's necessary to improve the connections, there is a special also support scheme to improve connections within the old panels. But for renovations, Well, there are some ideas. I know this trend in Europe. I know also a good example from Estonia that such panels have been used for thermal insulation of one building. This technology is also used, for example, in Austria, and this is done from wooden elements with mineral wool, including also photovoltaics as an element of the external layer of such panel. It's, in my opinion, it's a very good technical solution, but not each country could be implemented immediately.
Great comments. Actually, I want to refer quickly to about the certificate system in Denmark that you referred to and mentioned. Certificate, I think you said that the presence of a certificate which showed that the building is energy efficient has increased the willingness of potential apartment buyers to pay more, like was it €6,000 more on average per apartment. This requirement, is it mandatory? That is, I mean, does a building has to have this certificate, and where is it laid down? Is it primary legislation or secondary legislation? And how much has it actually, in your opinion, facilitated more investment and more willingness to invest in energy efficiency? I hope my question reached.
Sorry, Kai Leonhard Petersen speaking.
Kai. Okay.
Yeah, Gry had to leave the meeting.
All right. Okay, Kai. Would you be
maybe
able
we can
to
give some overall answers. The EPC in Denmark is mandatory when you sell or buy the house. Otherwise, it's not mandatory, and there's a certain procedure behind it. There's some primary legislation, some secondary legislation, how to do the EPC. So there's a standardization, and there are lots of efforts going on to improve the EPC, including the digitalization, to combine it with data from other databases, so that you can go to the computer and press a button and then can get every information about the house, including the EPC. And we are also looking into how we can improve the usage of the EPC. We have this in how to improve it in relation to the financial issues, to put more data into the to the EPC. And there's a lot of experience from a previous project called Extendo, and where we are now starting up a new project, Crossert, where we will look into how we can put more data around the EPC and combine it with data from various sources, including for use in one-stop shops. One of the ideas is to combine it with this new requirement in the upcoming revision of the service directive, where there's this to build a building renovation plan, the building renovation passport, where you make a stepwise renovation plan for a building up to 2050 to make it deep retrofit or CO2 neutral. So we'll also look into how we can combine the EPC with this requirement. And this building renovation passport also includes a logbook where you continuously update the renovation process of the building and update the stepwise renovation plan within the building. And this could then again be linked to the municipal planning, to the strategic energy and climate plan in the municipalities, so that you can also use the EPC and this building renovation passport as a monitoring tool.
Okay, yeah, it makes sense. Yeah, great comment. Thank you. I see that also Nils has, from our Danish partner, has written a comment that this revised building certificate of buildings in Denmark has been made in coordination with the financial sector to make it easier to understand from the financier's point of view what is necessary. So I think it's also an important aspect that we could we have to take into consideration. Right. Okay. Any questions from other panelists, or any further comments from other panelists, perhaps, or from anybody who has been listening? I actually have Edgars Augustīns. All right, Edgars, go ahead, please.
Yeah, thank you, Reinis. Yes, my name is Edgars Augustīns. I do represent one of the ESCO companies in Latvia, which really focuses on multi-apartment building renovation, which is Renesco. I do have the question for Andrzejs. I saw in the one of the slides that actually Andrzej said that ESCOs are not interested in long-term agreements. So basically those 20 years, you mentioned 10, 15. Also, you mentioned the investment costs, which are like 250 euros per square meter. Most probably these days are a little bit higher, also here in Latvia. And that are two important things which links. So basically the investments in the building and the paying back the investments. And the question is actually on the resident side, whether they are able to accept increase of the monthly payment after renovation due to the increase of investments. And then it comes back and links to the term. So basically the 20 years or 15 years. So basically if the shorter term, they will have to pay more afterwards to pay back the investment costs. And maybe, Andrzej, you can elaborate and maybe argue back why and what are the reasons for shorter period, because from our side, actually, we would look even longer, like 20, 25 years. So because we are looking in the building sector, which will be in place, and it will have to be maintained. And so by guaranteeing these services as the real long process.
Well, I think that this ESCO offer is more applicable for municipalities than for multi-family buildings. However, of course, in home associations, if they are able to repay the loan over 20 or 25 years, they are also keen to repay this from savings to ESCOs. But ESCOs are not interested in cutting the contracts for longer than 10 years. And now we are working on this scheme, which will, from one side, give the subsidy to the total investment cost, which is assessed by ESCO, in such amount that the payback period will be up to 10 years. So large part of project will be paid from grant, not from savings, in fact. And secondly, we have the National Fund for Environment Protection and Water Management, which is now looking for forfeiting of liabilities from ESCOs. So to buy these liabilities from ESCOs quite quickly after, let's say, 1 or 2 years of operation, in order to give them a floor to start next projects. Yes. Because involvement of one ESCO in many projects for even 10 years, it means that they can be blocked with financing, and the banks which are now keen to finance ESCO, for example, the French bank BNP Paribas, told that it's ready to finance ESCOs, but only for up to 10 years period, no longer. So this is the market situation. And I think that this offer will be, if it will happen this year, the municipalities will use this scheme, because the obligation coming from the PBD directive to move the buildings from the class G to E during coming, let's say, 4 years, needs money. And municipalities in Poland, and not also in Poland, are already on the wall concerning their debts. And the support from EU won't be significant in this matter. Therefore, having in mind that energy performance contract is not a kind of public debt in European Union and also in Poland, this way of implementing of energy efficiency measures in public buildings, municipalities, I hope will be a standard one. But we are working hardly also on preparation of one-stop shops for municipalities, that they really start to understand that there is no other way to do this, like it is done in many EU countries. The ESCO are doing the energy efficiency in public buildings in municipalities.
Yep, thank you. I think, yeah, you pointed out the reasons very clearly. That's actually, it's not the ESCOs who are providing the such shorter terms of services, but that's the availability of financing for those ESCOs. Just to comment that actually in Latvia we are a bit better situation, because the financiers see the benefits and they are willing to finance for those 20 years. But yeah, thank you, Andres. Yeah.
Thank you. I see hand raised. Janek Twardowski, please present yourself shortly before asking or commenting. You're muted, I think, on your mic. We cannot hear you.
I hope it will work better. I changed the source microphone. I've put my comments to the previous one on the chat. I think in Poland there's a special situation. We have a high interest rate, but the most important is that the building sector is based not on the fixed rates when modernization comes to true, but on the changeable, let's say, medium-term interest rate. And as a colleague Edgar said, it would be a big problem to the tenants just to meet the, how to say, monthly payments after modernization of buildings if they are based on these changeable rates, which are quite high now, and they are not related to the 10 or 15 years period like usually you should have when you are building new stock. And it's one of the Polish problems I would like to mention here. So the ESCO companies cannot give, let's say, fixed, how to say, payment. So it's the risk factors in Poland are much more higher than in other countries.
Oh, I see your point, Janek. Thanks. Edgar, do you want to interact quickly? No? Yes? Okay. Right. Yes, this is a valid point to understand what you're saying. Of course, those taking part are encouraged also to browse through the chat, not only now but also probably afterwards or in the record of this workshop to reflect, to see what others have reflected on. There was another question to Andrzej about Elena. Could you please introduce Elena technical documentation support benefits? How could this program help for financial intermediary, that is banks, and how does it work in Poland? If you could, Andrzej, reflect on this briefly.
Yes, sure. I started to answer this. Well, the cost of energy audit is in Poland up to 1,000 euros because it is quite complicated document with calculations and also a part of kind of business plan. And the cost of technical documentation designs can reach even 10,000 euros, especially where buildings are under historical inspection. And this is initial cost of development of project, which is quite high, and this should be covered by homeowner association at the very beginning. But if the association apply to one of 4 banks providing currently the ELENA assistance for the subsidized loan, which I described, they can apply also for a reimbursement of 90% of the preparation cost. 90%. So this is approved very quickly because the bank is intermediary between the ELENA program and beneficiary, and in fact the bank decides about this reimbursement. So it is a process included in even creditworthiness assessment procedure. So it has no impact on the development. But this reduction of the initial development cost make easier to the energy auditor and to the buildings manager to convince the homeowner association with the thermal refurbishment to speed up the decision-making process, to shorten the first period of decision-making. And it works very well. In my opinion, during the last 3 years, around 1,000 of homeowner associations have used this ELENA instrument, which is combined with the loan. So this is not fantasy.
Okay, thank you for the comment. So it actually does work, and there is pretty good scale of applying this possibility. All right, that's good. I also see that there is a comment from Kai on the Danish EPC system, which is being basically aligned to the revisions of the upcoming Energy Performance in Buildings Directive amendments. So yes, okay, that's good to know. All right, any other comments or questions from anybody? If not, then I have another question to throw in the air. I'm not sure what reflections I will receive, but one of the reasons, one of the problems behind this prolonged process of implementing energy efficiency project is that, especially now over the course of last year or two, the construction costs have risen immensely, and it means that if House Owners Association has invested time and resources in drawing up a business plan for renovation of the building, and finally they get to the point where they might be able to submit this project to the financing institutions. Suddenly they find themselves in a situation where the costs have doubled, have significantly increased, and they're not able anymore to proceed with the business plan as initially planned. And I'm not sure if there is any solution to this problem except for trying to avoid or take down as much as possible the so-called cyclical problems of availability of financing. And we all know that especially in the systems where financing energy efficiency measures heavily relies on the EU funds, then this cyclical nature of activity is actually not only a possibility to get EU funding or co-funding for the project, but it's also in itself, it becomes a problem because the construction sector also is aware of the cyclical nature of availability of financing, and it means that the construction sector simply knows that, well, we can lay down, we can live under the surface, so to say, operate under the surface for 3-4 years. And then we know that there will be the next period of financing and support to energy efficiency measures. And this is where we and our money. So it's not necessary for us to be perplexed about being ready to implement a big number of energy efficiency projects in a more linear way. It's more about how to handle these price hikes, which follow the hikes in the number of projects submitted for financing for energy efficiency. So that's one really big problem. On one hand, you have money. On the other hand, this money, well, part of that money simply goes, is lost due to, I don't know, artificial inflation or inflated prices of materials and services once the new financing period kicks in. Any comments on that? I know that Poland actually has most of its financing has had most of its financing coming from national sources rather than relying too heavily on the EU funding. Does anybody from Latvia believe that it could, the balance of power, so to say, could switch slightly more away from from heavy reliance on EU funds and more towards local sources of financing? This was sort of a question.
Yes, I think, Reinis, I could support you answering or maybe raising up some questions or discussion with other participants. That's why I think we have to start to think about this national support scheme in Latvia and to discuss. My idea is look at this real estate tax, for example, and actually the market, which is renovation market today. I think this year or last year, all the commercial banks participating in this EU support program. We financed about 107 or 110 renovation projects. This year, I think it is more because this EU supported program is close to the end. But let's say the market at the moment in Latvia is about 130, 120 projects. If we look at the payouts for building works, so probably that will give us a clear number. I mean, what could be this, let's say, incentive for national support scheme each year, annual, which we would need for supporting some building payments, especially for deep retrofit, and we can discuss what are the most vulnerable groups. And if we look at this number in calculating from this 120 or 108 projects, then I came to about 25 to 30 million euros as annual as payment for building works. And I think that wouldn't be actually the large number to start think about the national support scheme. And what we also have to look at this flexibility of instruments, because out of the EU support program, we have also commercial loans where the apartment owner associations, they come to the bank and they say, this process of EU program is quite heavily for us. We don't have a capacity. We would like to take a commercial loan. And these loans in average are smaller, let's say starting from 20,000 euro up to maybe 170,000 euro. For different means, for changing a roof, also for facades and whatsoever. And then here we have opportunity maybe to have a different also financing instrument, maybe more guarantee. From municipal level, we see a lot of support municipalities in Latvia are trying to provide, and also discussing this national support scheme, we could look what is the best way. For example, some of the municipalities supporting by concrete, let's say 15,000 euro each house, multi-apartment house, which is renovated. Another municipality, we see this is a rebate for 10 years or 5 years on real estate tax after the renovation of this house. Now, also, we see some municipalities are supporting with the municipal budget as dotation the housing maintenance company, which is helping the people to get to the renovation, and they are subsidizing the bank this margin costs. So there is a kind of experience already, and my answer would be we need to start to talk about the national support scheme and the flexibility of instruments. And then we will give best support to apartment owners. Thank you.
Thank you, Ilse, for this comment. I just want to draw your attention to the fact that there's an ongoing exchange of additional comments in the chat area by Janek, Nils, and Kai. Some additional information on the Danish EPC, on the impact of the Danish EPC certificate, that is system on the value of apartments and dwellings. So there has been direct correlation of having good energy performance figures and the value of the real estate. So that's an important point here. There's also an important point by Janek about the availability of financing, and basically it looks like he supports the idea of the need to switch away from too much reliance on these cyclical sources of financing, which are important, of course, but still he's in favor of financial instruments rather than grants. But I'd say, having studied also, having done analysis on the barriers and the ways how to overcome the barriers to energy efficiency, there's plenty of academic and scientific research on this about policy analysis about energy efficiency, and it is always good to have different combinations of availability of financing sources, and there is no one single best solution. There are different purposes for different schemes, and it looks like although if we would say switch away completely from grants, from the grant system for everybody, for all target groups, then it might be detrimental to those not so well off. So probably a balanced approach and slightly more tailor-made approach to different target groups when it comes to energy efficiency, financing, and investment would help and be in place. But I mean, it's not that we can throw everything in one bag. I think even if there was one bag where we throw everything in, the bag has to have different compartments so that we can be flexible in terms of support to those groups which are more vulnerable, not only to energy prices, but also to the due to their ability to pay for energy efficiency investment. So probably a nice balance would be a good support. And it's nothing impossible. It's a possible thing to organize financing or financial channels like that. I had somebody wanted to comment. There was a whisper or something. All right. One-stop shop thing, which I have written down for myself in my notes. We spoke about one-stop shop approach, and from the analysis that has been done during the previous years, it seems that one-stop shop would be indeed part of the solution, of a good solution. as currently personally I and those who are researching and analyzing the impact of energy efficiency regulatory framework have noted that still, despite upgrades to existing support schemes and how they are administered and how an idea can translate into a practical project, still in many cases the ability of even of the house owners, apartment owners associations, the ability to implement a rather complex project is limited. In fact, I've heard on several instances the impression that, or actually reflection on actual situations where initially the homeowners association has began the process of preparing the project and has tried to implement it with their own capacity, but they have soon realized that they need, in fact, a professional project manager for this, which is almost a full-time person who is dedicating the time fully to managing this project, at least at the initial stage when there's plenty of preparatory work to be done. So that's also part of the barrier. And I wonder if there is any experience at hand. Currently, we have it, maybe some of the examples from Poland or Denmark or somewhere else. If there are examples where there is a service.
Dzień dobry. Tak, słucham.
Dzień dobry, Lieutenant Santander.
Yes, nice. So. If there are examples where some of these instruments actually are able to finance professional project managers for this purpose. I don't know, Andrzej, you switched on the video. Maybe you can comment on this. I'm not sure.
Well, this experience that we have done in Poland. Not for multifamily buildings, but for public buildings, is that we use the so-called the general contractor function in the construction sector to develop and implement the energy efficiency project in the public building of a small municipality. Why? Because the municipality wanted to do the deep renovation of the school building up to the nearly zero energy standard, and it was not our idea, but this was the idea of the head of municipality. But he asked us as let's say experienced person how to do it. We organized the project management unit for him, and this kind of service was also eligible cost for granting the EU contribution to this project. We offered as a general contractor the total service from the energy audit through fundraising, means preparation of application to the EU funds, then public procurement, then supervision of works, then the monitoring of this project. And so it is, I think, if we don't understand what is one-stop shop, it's easy to understand. This is general contractor on behalf, working on behalf of the municipality, who is responsible on all the works. And the general contractor is also ESCO company because it provides one service more. It is the guarantee of savings. It is the guarantee of savings. So these are two models, in fact, most advanced. And I think that this cost of such function is eligible among the costs which could be subsidized by EU funds. It is eligible in Poland. It is should be eligible in Latvia. This is only the question to decide and to use this very well proven scheme of general contractor.
Thanks, very valuable comment. I think it's also an encouragement in a way to pursue this path. Otherwise, it seems that many projects are simply stuck because people are not either not aware of this possibility, or the regulatory framework is not there to assist them in this way, and people just start delaying the decision about implementing energy efficiency measures. Right. I don't see currently any new comments in the chat. There's still a possibility. We still have, I don't know, say 5-10 minutes that we can dedicate to questions, answers, and comments. I know that the presentation from the Ministry of Economy by Karina was slightly on a slightly different aspect, which is an extremely important aspect. It was not so much focused on financing, but rather than on decision making, which is part of the whole value chain. Okay, I probably finalized my comment after Edgars will have commented. Edgars, go ahead.
Yes, as you Reins asked to those questions, I may ask maybe the partners in this project may have experience and good practice how actually to bundle the projects to make them on the bigger scale for financing and attracting construction companies. Maybe some tips and tricks regarding most probably there are regulatory barriers existing and how to actually convince maybe those also the end users, the residents to go on the scale of these sorts of projects. Maybe there is some good experience in here in the room.
Well, I don't like to majorize this meeting, but concerning the residential buildings, multi-family buildings, we have good example because we have a separate support scheme which is called white certificates, which are tradable documents regulated by the law of energy efficiency. And to obtain these white certificates, it is necessary to do the energy efficiency audits and supply applications for the certificates to the Central Energy Regulatory Authority. And the minimum of savings which is required for application is 10 tons of equivalent oil, what means that it is not possible to achieve this by one building, residential building after renovation. But the energy auditors are quite smart in Poland, so they are collecting in one application a few homeowner associations or even housing cooperatives in direct cooperation with buildings managers, buildings administrators. So such bundling is possible in one application, and the energy auditor can be even can work on behalf of such group of homeowners associations for this application, and it works quite well since 3 years. So I think that again 500 or even more homeowner associations have used the schemes in one application. There should be in fact 5, 10, but could be 100, 1,000 without any. So this is the question: how to find the solution. Technical.
Okay, so basically it means that there's also no delay in terms of implementation because there is permanent demand for these projects, and there is permanent readiness to finance those projects, I believe.
Yes, because the white certificates are tradable on the special exchange. So if the work are finished, the white certificates are issued by the energy regulatory authorities and can be sold on this exchange. It is not much money. It is not so much money that can be obtained by the loan with subsidy, as I presented. But again, for those who are not willing to take loans and subsidy, this is a way to finance it and to bundle the projects.
It's a good point. Thank you. So I see that Yannick is also commenting that the white certificates can finance just a few % of investment, but of course, still, as I understand, it's part of the solution. It's not all of the solution, but it can be part of the solution. So that's good to know.
The best of the white certificates that they stress the quality of performance. So it's a very good tool to match. And if the quality is high, hopefully we can get more reward in grants. Hopefully.
Thank you for the comments, Yannick. Good. Right. So, well, we are moving towards the end of the consultation of the event. I'm trying now to pull together different aspects that we have covered today, and if there are no immediate comments or questions, let me try to summarize what we have found out today, what conclusions we can probably make from today's discussion. One thing is clear, that energy costs will be rising. So there's clear incentive to invest in energy efficiency. On the other hand, construction costs are also rising. There is inflation present, and it affects the price of materials and also of construction services. So probably one of the challenges is to not be lagging behind with decision-making about investing in energy efficiency. Another aspect is, of course, the scalability of the different solutions for financing energy efficiency, and probably a swift way how to, or a nice way how to organize that a project turns from idea into reality in a swift way. Such solutions should be promoted and advertised, probably, I don't know, on TV. And information should be given about these good examples to the general population, especially, of course, those who live in the multi-apartment buildings, because those are the main target group. Just on a side note, just a side note, I think just around 3% of the apartment buildings in Riga that are not newly built apartment buildings have been renovated. So there's huge potential for energy efficiency market also in terms of how much money can be invested into this segment of economy. So it's huge money locally in local terms. So right. So regulatory environment. We also yet again reiterated the importance of the notion of one-stop shop. Thank you, Andrzej, for pointing out that in fact the general contractor or an ESCO can serve the purpose of one-stop shop. I believe there can also be other possibilities. I know that some of the financial institutions which provide financing or co-financing for energy efficiency projects also provide consultancy services. But they could be details which may vary from one case to the other. But still, of course, it's not that people are left without consultation and without advice, but more advice probably is needed. So in this grand scheme of hugs, carrots and sticks, probably we should find the right balance between all of these. So we also mentioned the possibility to use taxes as an instrument for stimulating investment in energy efficiency. That's definitely one of the solutions, part of the solution to the issue. scalability or making an investment in energy efficiency a mass product or a mass event. Currently, we are having too few projects per total need to improve energy efficiency. So one of the biggest challenges is to achieve this massive scale of energy efficiency. That is one thing, and one-stop shop principle definitely would provide support to homeowners associations. Right. What else did I write down in my notes? The certificate systems, definitely the digitalization of energy performance data, and also introduction and actual implementation of a energy performance certificate system might also will be a good stimulus for making a decision in favor of investing in energy efficiency, especially in multi-apartment buildings. Otherwise, if there is no investment in renovating a building, the conditions inevitably deteriorate, and it means that the value of this real estate falls. And it's basically the value of what you own as an inhabitant in a multi-apartment building is decreasing, and especially if you have been paying credit for your apartment for 20-25 years, and the house has not been renovated, probably one can surely say that you will be losing money and paying even more. You'll continue paying for energy that is wasted, and also for the decrease of value of your property where you have invested your money. So that is another important aspect where there's still place for improvement. There are, of course, plenty of details that probably many of us pinned to the page where we were making notes from this meeting, but I think we can build on what we heard today. I would like to thank, first of all, I would like once again to remind you that there will be a recording of this event available. So if you wish, you can refer back to the recording of this meeting. You can browse through the comments also in the chat. There were several interesting and valuable links provided by some of the participants, so please explore those. There were also links provided in some of the presentations, so you're also welcome to explore those links, which will lead you to more detailed information about specific projects and solutions to energy efficiency. I would also like to thank all the speakers of this event, Serena from the European Commission, also Karina from the Ministry of Economy, Andrzej from the Polish, from the National Energy Conservation Agency of Poland, and also Kai from the Danish agency State of Green, and last but not least, Ilze Kukute, representing the Finance Latvia Association. So I think we have had different pieces of puzzle today. Well, eventually came together, and if not completely, and if they are not aligned, if these pieces of puzzle are not yet aligned perfectly, so I hope that with each and every workshop that we provide, the possibility to present a case and ask questions and comment, that these pieces of puzzle are aligned in a better way, improving our knowledge and stimulating thinking about potential solutions and about things which can be improved. And of course, we would, the wish of the experts involved in this series of RoundBaltic projects is that the summary thesis or the summaries after these events actually reach decision makers and also policy makers, and they take into consideration the suggestions that have been put on the table and improve the regulatory framework, and also think about the possibilities to optimize the availability of financing for energy efficiency. And with this, I would like to thank all the our audience as well for being with us for these last 3 hours, and want to remind that this event has been possible owing to financial support of the European Commission and the RoundBaltic, within the framework of the RoundBaltic project, and partners in Poland and Denmark and Latvia, of course. And I think that will be enough from my end. And so many thanks to everybody today. That's it from my side. If somebody wants to add something else, you have 1 minute. If not, then we will respect the agenda and the timing reserved for this event. And what can I say? Dismissed, and see you either during the implementation of energy efficiency projects or in workshops in the future. Thank you.